Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Very first podcast of Zap's podcast. I'm your host, John Zap. Every time I'm going to say that. And today I have my very first guest, John Nicola, who's a good friend. I can say now. I've known you for about 2 years now because we started on COD, right?
Yeah,
that's where we first met.
Yeah, started on COD. I think I've met you like 3 times before you invited me to your wedding.
No, because before I came to your house, remember?
Yeah, we did gym.
And then you fooled me because you said,
Yeah.
I'm as tall as you, and you're fucking 6'8".
Yeah, a little bit of a height difference.
Yeah.
But we did fool you pretty well.
Yeah, you got me pretty good. So, just a bit of background for John. He's a Ironman athlete. He competed this year at Cairns, which is fucking super impressive. And that's what our main discussion is going to be about today, about Ironman, everything before and after. And you're also a PT. Do you want me to mention where you work? Or?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. So you work at Vision.
Yeah, Vision Bangor.
Bangor.
Yeah.
He's a PT there. I highly recommend him. He actually helped me out with a workout plan in the past to get me wedding ready. So I did use it, and it was really good. So if anyone in the area is looking for a good PT, highly recommend John. And let's get started, man.
Yeah,
Is there anything else you want to add?
Oh no, let's do it. Let's get it.
All right. So I don't think I've ever asked you this question because I was saving it for the podcast.
I have no idea what questions you asked me. I didn't.
Well, I have asked you things about Ironman, like just offline, like on Discord and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Discord. Yep.
Yeah, but I've never actually asked you because I was trying to save it for this episode.
You're saving all these questions.
Yeah,
up.
100%. So I actually wanted to know, because before you started doing like training, like running, swimming, and cycling, you were like a pretty gym junkie, like big gym junkie. You used to go.
Yeah, I mean, like I went through phases of strength training, but before you met me, yes, I was doing strength training, but before that, I was actually doing tries.
Oh, you started before that as well?
Yeah. So it all started ages ago, like after school.
So real early, like you started doing tries at school?
No. So I started with strength training. Started with strength training for my back, and then working up to doing small tries, which is your, super sprint and sprint distance tries. And then I did a half Ironman and absolutely burnt out. Yeah. And then after that, I didn't do another run, swim, bike, anything. Right after that race, I went straight to weights, and that's when you met me. Yeah. So
then what was the bug that got you? Was it that first half try that you're like, man, I actually could see myself competing and doing this? Yeah,
so it all started when I hurt my back.
Okay.
Yeah, so I hurt my back when I was a plumber, digging holes all
I remember you
day
telling me
grind.
maybe you used to be a plumber.
Yeah, look, I didn't finish my apprenticeship because of this back injury. So I had a L4 bulge disc and a pinched nerve down my left leg. And when I was at physio and stuff, they're like, oh, you can't do plumbing anymore. So I was like, oh, damn, like, what am I going to do? And I had this physio who was a really good, like...
Bring the mic closer. That's it, yeah, it's perfect. Oh, okay.
He was a really good role model. So we spoke about it, and he's like, be a PT, get stronger. And when I was in rehab, I saw these people doing this try, right? I was like, what's this? Like... looks alright, like 3 sports, that's pretty crazy. And at that time, I wasn't even like lifting weights. I was like doing like TheraBand movements and just like balancing and just trying to activate my core. So like this is like, oh my god, how are they doing that?
Yeah.
So yeah, at that point I was like, oh, what's that? And that was that little spark of like interest of why can't I do that yet, and like what does it take?
Yeah.
Right? And then from there, I just sort of dig deep. I was like, okay, what is it? It's a triathlon. Okay, what do I have to do? Swim, bike, run. Okay, that seems doable. And I'm not a runner. I'm not a swimmer. And I rode a bike every now and then. So coming from that
it's a big jump.
It is a big jump. Exactly. But when you're in that position where you're not doing much activity, all you want to do is do activity.
Oh man, it's that thing where when you can't do it, you want to do it.
Yeah, it's like a really good example is COVID, right? When before the government was like, all right, you can't leave your house and exercise, everyone's like, yeah, I don't want to exercise. The moment he's like, you're staying at home, everyone's like, no, you can't stop me, I'm going to go for a run.
You know what? That's so true, eh?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, I need to do something.
Exactly. And it's sort of the same thing. When you're injured, all you want is to be able to do what you used to be able to do. And I sort of took that and sort of increased and go, well, if I can do anything again, I'm going to do more.
Yeah.
And that's when I went from sprint to Olympic, Olympic to half, and then half to full.
Yeah, full being the full like
Full
triathlon.
Ironman, yeah, full Ironman.
Yeah, because that's like, so you kind of, when you first saw like those people, you were saying like, oh, what are they doing?
Yeah.
That kind of sparked you then to go, oh, this looks pretty interesting, and then just progressively worked your way up.
Yeah.
Is that the goal for you? Like you've always wanted to compete in Ironman? Was that always something you wanted to do?
Before the injury?
No, when that spark. So when you saw those people doing that, you were like, oh, that looks
Definitely.
interesting.
Yeah,
Really?
I looked at that and I was like, wow, that's like such a long-term goal. And I work well with long-term goals. Short-term goals, not so much, but long-term, like 10 years, perfect.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'll get there.
Yeah.
So it gives me room to fail at certain things, or gives me room to, do something else for a little bit and come back onto it. I just know I'll do it if I have that
A
goal.
lot of people kind of struggle, in my opinion anyway, I think a lot of people struggle with long-term goals. That's a big skill to be able to commit to 10 years. Like, I know you were saying like that you can, like you have room to fail, but 10 years is a long commitment.
Yeah, like just having that idea that it will happen, it doesn't put too much pressure on you.
Yeah.
Which is what you want. But like I said, in the first few years, I burnt out after doing the half.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, no, I'm not. That hurt too much.
When you burnt out, were you just sprinting the whole time?
Going into that race, I had injuries. I was on like
So that doesn't help.
anti-inflammatories before the race. I like took some pain meds so I didn't feel my ankle. Shin splints in both legs. Like,
what made you want to do, like, if you had all these injuries, what made you want to do that? Were you just like, I'm going to do it?
I'm
and
going
see
to
how
do
I
it.
go?
If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Even, like, I'm either going to, like, come out on an ambulance or I'm just going to lay on the
You're a
course and
machine.
just crawl home. Like, it's happening. I don't care.
You know what you remind me of? Remember how we were saying ages ago we were going to have that race, that swim, that 50-meter sprint?
It's still going to happen.
Yeah, it will. And I remember I said to myself, if I have a heart attack in the water, that's fine. Like I'm gonna sprint so hard that if I have a heart attack, it's fine. Like, I don't care.
You're going to give it everything you got, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just started swimming recently, so we'll go back.
10-year
to
goal, right?
Yeah, more like just casual swimming. I have no goal in
I'm
mind.
going to take you down
Yeah, well, you probably will.
to the bottom of the pool.
All right, so that's how you got into Ironman, which is crazy. So, did it take you the full 10 years to prepare for Ironman, or did you have like a specific training regime? You're like, okay, I'm gonna compete in. So you did the Cairns 2022. So
Yeah, a few months ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And were you like, okay, I need at least 2 years?
No, so I've been with my coach Pete for quite a while now. I think since early 2017.
Okay, so 5 years before Ironman.
Yeah, 5 years before Ironman, and maybe 2016. Anyway, I was with him for a while, and I was like, I want to do a half. How long do I need? He's like, you need to be very consistent for at least a year, possibly 2. I was like, okay, I'll give you 1 year. I'm going to do it in 1 year. He's like, okay. Anyway, I should have listened to him at that stage because he knew what he was talking about. I didn't, but I wanted it.
Yeah.
And
It's a good learning experience, though.
Yeah, for sure. And, after that learning experience, when I went up to him, I'm like, I'm going to do a full. He's like, all right, you need, very consistent training, 2-3 years.
Okay.
You need to feel it, you need to be in it, you got to work for it. I was like, okay, I'll listen to you this time. Like, whatever you say goes. And he's like, okay, cool. So we're going to do that. And we worked towards it. I was going to do Port Macquarie, actually, but with COVID and everything, it,
That's
extended it, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
I
couldn't
remember.
do anything.
I remember you saying you were going to do that.
Yeah, Yeah, and you know, the tickets didn't come out because they were doing rollovers from the year before when they couldn't do it. I was like, okay, what can I do? And cans came up, and the ticket was on sale. I was like, I work really well. If I buy it, I'm gonna do it, like, because I've invested in it. So the moment it came out, I was like, bought, paid for.
Yeah.
And that was like a year away. I was like, sick.
See, I agree with that mentality, because when you pretty much encouraged me to buy that calorie tracking.
Oh yeah.
What's that, Carbon?
Yeah, Carbon. Yeah.
I'm finding that I'm using that probably far more because I'm invested in that, and I think it does help. Like especially when you're putting probably a lot more money than what you would normally put. Like, if that makes sense, because it's quite expensive. Like, I paid $100 for 6 months or something like that. Like, where you can get MyFitnessPal for free.
Yeah, that's true. I find just being in the fitness industry, when people put money on the line, they
want to get there.
Yeah, they don't want to waste the money. No one really wants to waste money.
Yeah.
So you got the free tracker, sure, but like, you know,
yeah,
if you don't use it for a week, didn't lose anything. But if you feel like you're losing money, it definitely motivates some people.
Yeah, 100%. I Jesus, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
So going back to your training, so you were saying, okay, you need at least 3 years. Was there, like, I remember you were talking about maybe 2 months before, you were saying like you had Hell Month. This is 2 months before Ironman, for everyone listening.
Yeah, so we call it peak week, or, you know, the build, or so it's just a week, or like a month of progressive overload in a way.
Yeah.
So, you
but
know,
crazy overload, right? It's not like a little bit.
It's not. It seems like a lot more because you've already done, you know, months and months of building. You're already fatigued. You know, you're never really feeling great.
Yeah.
And then you get given, you know, a big block of training that's just, you know, grinding the last little bit of life out of you, and you're like, okay, I'm in it now.
Did you have to do more than one Hell Month though?
No, not really. It's all very scripted sort of stuff that you build into it, and then you've got this specific block that's going to build you up, make you really fit just before. Yeah. Because it's like this fine tuning of, okay, get really, really fit, but without getting injured and without getting super like tired as well. Yeah. You know, fatigue's going to play a big part of that, because if you come up to, you know, a week out of your race and you're like, no, I'm still fatigued, like this isn't good. Yeah. You know, you're going to defeat the purpose of it. So okay. It's very specific, but yeah, we don't do it all the time, no.
Okay, so speaking of specifics, did you find that you had to follow specific nutrition? Because I've listened to like a couple other podcasts, like on Joe Rogan and other people, and they say like, oh, you know, going keto really helped, or going vegan really helped, or going, like, people do all these crazy sort of like diets. Totally. Did you find that you had to do something specific as well? Like, or you found something that you worked for you?
Are we talking about in-race nutrition or just like everyday nutrition?
I'll probably say race nutrition, like as you were building up to go Ironman.
Yeah, so my in-race nutrition is very specific.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me just backtrack. In-race, not on the day in-race. I'm talking about like building up to...
Oh, my build block, is my nutrition different?
Yeah.
It is different to a degree. I am eating a lot more. Just because the amount of volume I'm doing, you know, I generally hold around 80 to 82 kilos just normally, eating my normal food, which is about 3,500 calories as maintenance, with my training at that time. But when I went into that block of higher intensity, I was eating like 4,500.
Yeah, because you're doing crazy.
Easy.
Crazy workload.
And I struggle with eating. Like, to me, I don't want to eat. If I had the choice of not eating, I would not eat, because I find it more of a chore than a pleasure.
I find, especially when you start becoming like a high level, like what you are, like high level athlete, it's eating for purpose, not eating for joy.
Yeah, you're eating for fuel. You're eating because you know if you don't eat, your run's going to be terrible, or, you know, you're going to bonk halfway through your ride, or and you got to fuel it, right? You got to treat it like, you know, your engine.
But did you eat a specific way? So did you go keto, or you just like carbs, whatever, like just clean foods, like whole foods?
Look, I eat like I think I might have told you before, like flexible sort of way. Like if I eat, a lot of carbs one day, I might have overeaten. I'm not going to eat a massive dinner. Like I have that knowledge to be like, okay, I've eaten too much today. I'm not going to eat more.
Yeah.
Or I haven't eaten enough today. I'm going to eat more now.
Okay.
So like it plays hand in hand. I didn't go keto. I didn't go, carnivore. I didn't go to any of those extremes. I sort of just stayed in what I knew my lane, and I just sort of ate more or less depending on if I trained more or if I felt a certain way.
Did you feel like it worked eating that way? Like you felt pretty much good all the way through. Like you felt fueled. Like obviously, I know you'd be feeling fatigued because the amount of training you're doing is insane to begin with.
Yeah.
But just like on the days that you're not training and you're eating normally, did you feel okay? Like, did you ever feel bloated when you ate? Did you ever feel, or you just like,
No,
all seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I don't think I ran into any of those problems with eating. Like, normally for breakfast, I'll have wheat bix with honey every day, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I would normally have like 8. But in
Ironman,
Ironman,
man, what a machine!
but in Ironman training, we're talking 15 to 18. So
wait,
2 bowls.
In the morning of?
In the morning. No, just in the morning.
Oh, okay.
Just in the morning of training, I would have that.
Okay.
And that would fill me up, go through
That's
training.
a solid amount. That's like half a box.
That I went through wheat bix. They're cheap.
Yeah, well,
they're
that's
good.
fair.
They're good. The amount of honey I was eating, but I was like, oh, maybe I should slow down on this.
How
But
much honey were you eating?
just going through it as quick as the wheat bix, right?
That's crazy. Because I love honey. And the thing I love about honey, it's pretty much straight carb, but it's so nutrient dense. Like you could add like 30 grams and it's like 150 calories or something.
It's delicious.
Yeah, it tastes great too. So
Yeah.
no, I'd be putting that in my diet as well. It's in my diet right now, honey. I have it in my protein shake.
And it's like super easy to like calculate as well. I also went with sandwiches as well. I went through a phase of jam sandwiches. Like instead of having one, I would have 2.
Yeah.
And that would be like during the day. And then dinners would always be the biggest. Like as many schnitzels as I could have, my broccolis, like, all that sort of corn. Loved it. Ate heaps of that. And I sort of stuck around that sort of basic nutrition to fuel me, really. I didn't really change anything massively because, if you change something, you're going to get that effect in some other way. And if you haven't trained with that, you don't know.
Yeah.
So,
man, it's funny because like the weekend that just went past was Father's Day, and my biggest weakness is chips. So I love the flavor. I love eating chips, but I know it kills me. It kills me every time. Like I always get a sore throat or I feel bloated. So I kind of tend to avoid it.
Yeah.
But it's once every blue moon that you have it. So
yeah, exactly.
I didn't eat much that day, and I ended up gaining 1 kilo. So I don't know if it's because I don't eat it often and just doesn't. My body's not used to it. It's not agreeing with me.
Well, weight fluctuates so much.
Yeah.
Like before a ride, I can be 82, and then after a ride, I'll be 80 or 79.
Yeah, because you've got but okay. To paint the picture for the people listening, his rides. I think your training rides are at least 40 k's, at least. In the morning.
On the weekends.
Yeah.
At least 100.
Yeah. See,
At least
you go. So it's like a crazy ride.
At least 100, in between 100 and 140.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on where I am in the build. Yeah, I try and stick around that.
Yeah.
On the weekend, but during the week it'll be like 40k of like either intervals or maybe 80k of intervals.
Yeah.
Depending.
All right. Well, I think we've gone through your nutrition and your kind of build up going towards Ironman.
Yep.
Let's talk about Ironman. So, how were you feeling on the day? Like, because you would have had probably, I wouldn't say your stress levels went up going, but you would have been nervous.
Well, like you're there, like.
I was watching you the whole time. Well, not watching you, like because I was in Sydney, you were in Queensland, so I was watching you through the app. As soon as you started, I think it was like 8 o'clock or 8:30. I was watching you swim, and I would just keep tabs on you.
Yeah.
Like, look at this machine go. And then when you got on the bike, that's when you started taking over people. I'm like, come on, man, let's go.
Yeah, I get very excited on the bike.
Yeah.
But stress levels, like on the day, like I knew I put the work in. I was feeling good. You know, I had a really good deload. Just felt like I was in the moment. Like I knew everyone was telling me like, oh, just try and be in it. You know, you only get to race your first once. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna just take a deep breath in and be here. And I did, and I was like, this is really sick. This is awesome. I see all these other competitors, and they look stressed. They look nervous. I was like, no, this is good. That's
a really good mentality to have going into a race.
Yeah, you got to really absorb it when you do it. But stress before the race.
Yeah. I think that's very normal though, like, because you don't know what to expect. You don't know what's going to happen on the day. Like, you've never done it, like, all the prep work. And we'll actually get into that now. Like, on the day, you got up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Just so and your race was at 8:30.
Sometime around then, yeah.
So how come you had to get up at 3 a.m? Is that because like you had to fuel up and then prepare?
Well, yeah. When I race, I like waking up a little bit earlier than normal.
Yeah.
Just because I can get my nutrition in for the morning. If anything goes wrong, I have time to fix it. Less stress. You know, just flows a little bit better. And all you got to do is take away like a little bit more sleep and, you know, go to bed earlier. And you can do that, right? But yeah, just to be a little bit more relaxed, waking up that little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But you have to drive to the course, you have to find parking, you got to find your transition, pump your tires up if you need to, you know, just double check everything, being super organized. And just,
No, that's crazy. Because like, so did you leave because you bought your own bike.
Yeah.
Did you have it already there?
Yeah, so the day before you have to rack your bike, put it in the place that your number is.
Yeah.
Everyone has to do that, and then you leave it overnight.
Okay.
So I know.
Yeah. I can't get over. Well, I can understand because I get up most mornings at 4:30 just so I can go to the gym and then go to work after. 3:30 is absolutely crazy.
Yeah. You know what? I find that if you wake up before 4:30, it doesn't even matter. Like it's so early, it doesn't matter. That extra little bit more is just like, nah.
Yeah, that's fair. But you're already running on like
a bit of adrenaline.
Bit of adrenaline, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So you're waking up, you're like, I'm like
it's
ready.
It's game day, right?
Yeah, it's game day.
Yeah.
I like it.
I remember I woke up out of bed and I had a bang of sleep. Like I just hit the sheets and I was like out.
Yeah.
Didn't wake up through the night. Woke up and I was like, music on. And I just got out of bed and I was like, it was some sort of hardstyle music. I was just
sir.
Bangers were pumping. I was like, this is a good vibe. Got changed, had everything already in the car ready. All I needed to do was like get changed and get in the car. So
yeah.
It was good.
No, that's awesome, man. So what was the hardest part of the race for you? Was it the swimming? Was it the cycling? Or was it the run? I feel like the run would be the hardest because that's right at the end and you're already fatigued from the swimming and the cycling. That's my opinion.
Hardest part of the race. I'd say the most challenging part I can remember, like where it hurt the most, was when I was on the bike coming back. So I was about 100 and I'd say 55-ish Ks in.
Yeah.
And like chafe. Like,
oh man, I didn't even think about that actually.
Yeah, it was like my nutrition, I stuffed up a little bit with my nutrition. I felt that, and like the wind, the headwind coming back, legs, like I was just in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But I was like close enough to finishing the bike that I was like, just gotta grind this last bit out. And I just felt like the road was lasting forever. I was like, every little bump was like shooting through my back, and I was like,
So then, like, I want to touch base on like what you mean by like you stuffed up your nutrition a little bit. Like,
yeah.
So what happened?
Okay, so I had 4 bottles on my bike. 2 of them were very large bottles, like longer than other ones, probably 950 mil.
Yeah.
The other ones were 700, 750.
Yeah.
So I had 2 other bottles that I had already drunk, and I threw them to pick up water from the aid stations. So they hold bottles out, and you can ride past them and grab it.
Yeah.
So I did that to 2 of the bottles, and I had already finished one of the large bottles. But in my head, I had finished all my bottles. So I was like, I got no nutrition. I got to use the aid station as nutrition. And I didn't train on that. So when I had my first sip of it, it was bubbly, and I was just like burping. I was like, nah, this is not good. I cannot down this.
So what, was it like water? I guess it wasn't water.
No, it's not water. So there's two bottles you can get: water or their nutrition.
So what is it, like a protein shake? Like what is
No, it's their like carby drink that they have on
okay.
race day. So they're sponsored by a certain nutrition drink, and they have that on course.
Okay.
So I tried one of those bottles and drank that. I was like, nah, not good.
Yeah.
So I chucked that bottle. I was like, replace it for water. I was like, all right, just sipping water now. Like I have some goos, but I pulled my goos out of my back pocket, and 4 of them fell out onto the ground.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I had one goo, and that was like not enough. I knew, I was like, yeah, no, this isn't good.
But that's just an accident. It's not like you. It's not like you weren't prepared.
Yeah.
It just, shit happens.
Exactly right. But anyway, yeah. So I'm thinking that I have no bottles of nutrition. So I'm like riding for like 20k, and I'm like, yeah, I got nothing. And then I was like, oh, no, I'm just gonna check. Because like, what if I come around and fill the bottle, pull it around, and it's full. I'm like, oh my god, this is gold to me right now. I'm gonna make it home.
Yeah.
So I start drinking that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can start feeling better now. Like I'm getting back.
Yeah.
And I backed off the pace a little bit, so I didn't burn too much more. And I made it back. But that situation was the challenging hurt.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of things went wrong, and my mind could have gone to a bad place. But
Very quickly.
in training, I already planned bad situations, so I was already ready for, okay, this happens, like it's not the end of the world, I can coast back home if I need to.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like a bit of a chess match, like the way you're like, okay, I've got to pull my pace back a little bit, because I know if I do, I'll burn out. Like you've just got this constant ongoing calculation in your head.
Yeah.
Because you know your body, you know how you're feeling.
Yeah, I had a big headache on the turnaround point, and I was like, oh.
Because of like hydration or just okay.
Because of the bottle situation, I was just drinking water. I was like, this isn't good.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, that was probably the most challenging part. The run was fine. Like my watch died halfway through. That was just like annoying, but it, like just being in that experience was enough to keep me going. It's like, hey, look.
What's the watch for? Is that just the track? Like
so you can pace yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. Your heart rate. Your pace. It helps because that's what you do in training.
Yeah.
But when you don't have that, you're like, oh, okay, I'm a bit lost now. But, is it going to stop me racing? No. So it didn't do that much when you're halfway through the run.
Yeah. That's crazy. I actually didn't know about that. So, no, that's cool. I would have thought... Actually, let's paint a picture. Let's backtrack a little bit. So, can you just explain the amount of distance for Ironman and for each run, cycle, and swim?
Yeah. So you start with a swim. It's a 3.8 kilometer swim.
And that's in the ocean too. So there's like, your swimming gets tired.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty wavy that day. There's a little bit of chop. You're swimming around people. They're swimming over you. Like...
Bit messy.
Yeah, it's not just like swimming in the pool doing laps and you can see everything. It was quite murky, like you couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
Yeah.
So you're always like sighting, which is when you, instead of turning your head to the side, you'll look ahead of you. Or if you have the shore to your side, you'll just try and like pinpoint something and know where you are.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of like sighting, which slows you down quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then you go to the bike, which is your 180 kilometer ride.
That's absolutely crazy.
It gets bigger with different races as well. So this is...
Well, I actually want to talk to you about that, but we'll talk
Yeah. And then you finish your race off with a run, which is your 42.2 kilometer marathon at the end. Yeah. So that's the race. And then you got your transitions in between, which are quite short. You just run up, change and get going.
I didn't realize that, because when I was watching, I just assumed that when you do all those three, like the three races or the three activities, that it wasn't looped. I didn't realize that. So with the swim, you actually swim in like a circle sort of thing, like you go up and down, then up and down. It's like laps.
Yeah, it's like a rectangle. You swim to a buoy, you turn right, you swim a certain distance, left, head back, and then left back in.
Yeah, see, I didn't realize. I thought it was like a straight shot, like just one straight long distance swim, then it was a straight cycle, and then it was also a straight run, but they're all kind of looped.
Yeah, most of them are, each race is different, but, trying to keep it as close together for the race, like, for the competitors as well. Like, trying to keep everyone close is probably a better idea than, like, doing, 1.9 kilometers out and 1.9 back.
Yeah.
It just keeps everyone closer. And, the fans and all the people that are watching, they get to see everyone a little bit more when they run past or bike past them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, man, I've got to give it to you, because one thing that you said to me, this was before Ironman, I think you said you wanted to do it the whole race in 12 hours. That was like your goal.
Yeah. So with my training and how I incorporated like things going wrong, like a flat tire, that would be like 15 minutes.
So you took all that into consideration. It's not like,
yeah,
okay,
because I didn't want to set myself a goal that was not achievable. I'm very realistic with my goals. It's like, can I do that? Well, that's pushing it. I'd rather give it a little bit more and try and smash it and feel better about it. Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. Like, honestly, I didn't even realize, like, yeah, tires can pop when you're cycling.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Swimming, I don't think there'd be much of an issue unless you, like, I guess worst case scenario is you cop a cramp or something. That's not ideal.
Yeah, I haven't copped a cramp. But like your goggles can fill up with water.
Yeah.
That's really annoying.
That would be, especially because you're swimming in salt water too, and it's just burning.
Yeah. That's probably what I was most nervous about, to be honest. Like, I could swim the distance. I don't know if my goggles could hold on for the distance. Because in training, I've had huge problems with my goggles just filling up with water the moment I jump in. I'm like, oh. And that will get you mentally. You'll be like, I don't want to do this. This sucks.
I can imagine, like, I used to swim squads, so I know what that's like. And it's like when your goggles fill up, like literally within the first 10 seconds, you're like, this is gonna suck.
Exactly. So like every training session I did with swimming, I would like know exactly the pattern I would do to get the goggles to stick to my face. And then I'd train, I'd swim the 3.8 straight, and I'd make sure it doesn't fill up with water. Yeah. And if it did, I would be like, okay, I need to change this. I need to move like a strap higher, or I need to make it tighter or looser, until I found that perfect sort of setting for my face, and it sort of just
That's
started.
crazy. You need a setting for goggles.
Yeah,
actually,
totally.
Like there's so, like those minute things I had no, like I wouldn't even think twice about, like goggles, and like even like you would think that cycling you would be thinking about tires. Like in that situation, if your tire popped, like where are you getting another tire from, or do you have to repair it?
Yeah, so I actually had a spare tire. So most competitors have spares on their bike.
Right. But it's not like a spare, like a car, like a spare rim. You've just got the rubber.
Just got the inner tube, depending on what tires you're running. Okay. I had a tube ready to change it over if I needed to. Yeah. But before the race, I put brand new tires, brand new inner tubes. Yeah. Did all that, so it was like minimizing like all the chances of any sort of puncture.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What about running? Was there any risk for running? Like the only thing I could think of is shoes.
Well, I mean, it's at the end of the race, so you probably got the most amount of risk of, did you burn too much energy doing the bike?
Oh, right, okay. But not like risk in the sense like, oh, your tire popped or your goggles filled up. The only thing I can think of is like, oh, your shoes break apart.
I mean, some people don't wear socks, and some people get really, really bad blisters, and they're bleeding while they're running, and you can see it through their shoe. Yeah. Like that sort of stuff happens. Chafing under your armpits, that happens. Yeah. The energy thing, but there's always something that can go wrong, right?
Yeah, well, when you're doing a crazy like event for that long, like when you told me like, yeah, I'm gonna start at 8 and I'll probably finish at 8 o'clock at night, that was just already, I couldn't believe that. Like a 12-hour race is insane. But how did you go? So how did you go in your race? Like what did you place? How fast did you go?
So I did a 10:52, which is, an hour 8 ahead of what I thought I would do.
Congrats, that's huge.
Yeah, so I was super stoked with that. I didn't think I would get anywhere near the 10s. Placing wise, I'd have to go back and have a look at it, but it wasn't like terrible or anything. Like I was probably mid pack, if anything.
That's crazy. That's really good for your first race, man.
Yeah,
in my opinion, then who am I to say I know nothing?
No, like it was really good for my first race. Like I have a good idea of what to expect now. Like I just wanted to finish and enjoy myself for their first race, and the next one will be, all right, how hard can I push? Like, where can I push?
How did you feel after the first race?
Oh, I was broken. Oh. Nah, like, I don't know if I can even like describe the pain I was in on this podcast. Like,
how long did it last? Okay, when you say pain, like just full body aches.
Oh, like, yeah, I had the full body aches, but I had so much chafing from the bike.
Yeah.
Like, how I said I was in pain? Like,
I couldn't imagine.
It showed the next day, because we have these things called saddle sores, right? It's like when you get friction on the point of where you're sitting on your seat, okay?
Okay.
So if you're riding on a bike for 5.5, 6 hours, and you're just where you're sitting on is just rubbing slightly, and it's like a little bit like where from the swim, it's a little bit salty from you sweating, and it's just sitting there and rubbing, and with the vibrations from the road, it causes the saddle sore, right?
Okay.
And it's almost like a pimple, right? But it's
constantly rubbing,
and it's super, super deep. Okay. So it's not a pimple where you can just like pop it and it's done. It's deep, and it swells up. And normally I have one the size of like a 50-cent piece after like a big ride in training.
Yeah.
This one was the size of like a $5 note. Like, it was fully
joking?
covering. Yeah, it was like right in my groin, and I couldn't even walk without feeling it moving side to side. That's how big it was. It was honestly like this big. Yeah.
That is.
And it hurt so much.
Oh my God.
That was the worst part about it, just that saddle sore. And
How long did that last?
Oh, it lasted like a week and a half before it started going down.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that hurt.
Okay, so that's... I can't believe that. That's absolutely mental. So, right after that, did you go for a big feed? Or were you just like, I'm going to sleep?
Straight after the race?
Yeah, straight after the race. What was the first thing you did?
I remember I wanted to get... I wanted to have a shower. I wanted to sit in the shower, and I wanted to eat Macca's. I want to have... I was like, I'm going to have Macca's. I deserve Macca's today.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to have nuggets, and I'm going to buy 2 cheeseburgers. I'm going to buy, 2 sets of chips. I'm going to have the Coke. I'm going to just have everything. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I
Well, you're
remember,
done with the race now, so...
yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember my mum went and bought it for me and like bring it back to the hotel with my sister, and Chrissy was there. She was like helping me like walk, and I had like a few bites of the burger, and I was like,
Oh, like it didn't hit? Like
it was satisfying, but it wasn't. I didn't finish it. Like, I thought I could eat all this food, but I was just not feeling okay. I was out of it. I just needed to sleep. I just needed to stop. And I didn't finish any of it. Like, it was...
How long did you sleep for?
I think a little bit of a sleep in the morning. Yeah. But I think just like not doing anything the next day.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I'm surprised you weren't like in bed for the rest of the day.
No, I had some of the other boys come around, and they made me had tequila shots in the morning and gave me a beer, and then we went and got cocktails, and I was broken.
That's one way to celebrate.
Yeah, like I was not okay. That hit me so hard. Like, one tequila shot.
Well, especially if you've got nothing in your stomach too.
Yeah,
like that'll get you.
But it's good chatting to everyone, and like, you can say you don't want to do all that sort of stuff, but when you've just done this race that you've wanted to do for so long, sometimes it's okay to just live in it and just like, okay, maybe I will do this just because it's the experience,
Well, it's your first one. You want to celebrate
for sure.
Why not? I honestly don't know how. I honestly wouldn't know how I would react the next day. I honestly think I'd just be in bed for 2 days.
Just cry.
Yeah.
Just cry all day.
Yeah, literally. All right, so that's how you felt. Do you plan on doing another Ironman next year?
I've already booked one.
You've already paid for tickets?
Yeah.
Already paid for Ironman?
Flights, accommodation,
You're
ticket, everything. I booked it not even long after Cairns.
You're an absolute machine.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do it,
Well, you loved it that much that you got a tat, right?
Yeah, I got the tat. I got the brand. Like, a lot of people will be like, oh, you got the tat. Like, why did you do that? But
It's a very memorable moment for you.
well, not even that. It's the why to, like, it's the meaning to why I did it, right? It's more than just, oh, there's a tattoo on your leg. It represents that I did it. Like, I started from, not moving with an injury, going through this journey of, okay, I got to work my way back up.
Yeah.
Battling through that and then completing it. That's the reason I got it. Not because I did it because, it's this distance.
Yeah.
It's the stuff I did before it.
Do you plan on being more competitive this time? Like, do you want to try and place higher?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I want to do New Zealand because it got...
Oh, it's in New Zealand, the next one.
So I'm jumping the ditch and I'm going over there. I just want to do it because it's, spoken about how beautiful it is and how nice. And I was like, you know what? I'm all about that. I'd want to do that.
Yeah, fucking good, man.
And maybe the next time I'll go like Bustleton or something like that. And then I'll give it a red hot crack and see what I can actually do. But I won't be competitive unless I get my running speeds up. Like some of the other guys that are racing my age group are like absolute weapons.
Yeah.
Like beating my time by like an hour and a half.
Whoa.
Like, yeah. Like,
that's absolutely... Do you ever, like, if you did improve your run, would you ever want to go pro? Or you just kind of like, you just enjoy doing the Ironman? Like,
nah, pro doesn't... Nah, I don't want to go pro.
Okay.
I think I want to keep this as like my hobby, my thing.
I think that's pretty cool. Man.
No expectations. Just go out there, destroy your legs and have fun, right? Like,
be in bed for the next 2 days after.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just want to be in bed for 2 days. That's it.
And going back to what we was talking about before, because you were saying how there's like even crazier events.
Yeah.
So you've got the ultra marathon and the ultra tries, right?
Yeah. So
that's like a 24-hour race.
Well, with Ironman distance, they generally don't try and put as much elevation, how much you climb in the bike and run.
So like try to keep it flat.
Yeah, they try and keep it as flat. Like give or take a few different races, don't really care. They just do it.
Yeah.
There's races out there that they'll throw elevation in there, and there's, ultra triathlon races that are like double that distance, and it's like it doesn't end, and that excites me. I'm like, sick. Like I'm never gonna be like, one of my sayings is always happy, never satisfied.
Okay, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean?
So I'm happy with what I did, but I'll always want more.
Oh, okay.
And it keeps me on this track of, okay, you did well today, good work, you smashed it.
Yeah.
But now what? Because if
What's
there's
the next thing?
Yeah, if there's not a next thing, I'm either going to get too comfortable in my own head and be like, oh no, I did it, that's cool.
Yeah.
Or I can be like, okay, what am I working towards next, and keep moving forward, right?
Yeah.
So I use that.
That's pretty cool. I like that actually.
Yeah, that keeps me going. But I think after New Zealand, I'm going to go try and do ultra running and some sort of big tour bike ride sort of thing. I'm thinking Brisbane to Sydney or Sydney to Melbourne.
Okay.
Over like a few days.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do want to do an ultra run, or even just, so the 100k I want to do, but I'm still tossing up the 160k run.
How long does that take roughly?
Oh, I think it would be roughly the same. The 100k would be like in between 13 to 15 hours, maybe. Possibly.
That's just baffling for me. That's insane.
And then the 160, it's not really about time, right? It's about just trying to finish it. It's not about pace. It's about the experience and like being alone with yourself for that long and breaking yourself to the point where you like learn something new. And that's appealing to me.
I was talking to my dad because I was saying like, how I'm going to interview you for my first episode.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, what is he doing? I'm like, oh, he's an Ironman, and we ended up talking about like different races and stuff. And he goes, oh, have you ever heard of? He goes, would your mate ever do the? I don't think they do it anymore. It's the Sydney to Melbourne run, and it goes over 5 days. It's like 1,000 and I think 1,080 kilometers. Yeah, right. Absolutely mental. Like, would you ever do something like that? But I don't think they do it anymore. Like, because I've googled it and I think they stopped in like the 80s or something.
Look, I wouldn't say no to anything, but I wouldn't say it would be on it wouldn't be on the agenda in the next 10 years.
Okay.
Like that, like if certain things came up and I was doing really well with running, I hit a few 160k runs. I was like, yeah, this is actually really sick. I'm super invested.
Yeah.
What's the next best thing? And then someone's like, oh, I'm doing this run. You know, if life is in the position where, you know, everything's good, okay, cool. Like let's talk about it.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna just say no to something like that when I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Like, and I think you really have to think a lot when you're going to do a crazy 1,000 kilometer run.
Oh yeah, well, I don't think it would be like 100k or something a day, or you know,
I don't
you'd
even
have to
know. Like, I remember looking it up, and it was like you start every day. You start at 6 a.m. and you finish at 12 a.m. So you're running for 18 hours, and then you have a 6-hour rest, and then you're back at it again. And you've got like the cars that are following you throughout the race to make sure you're okay.
Support vehicles
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah. Look, if you go to America, they have like amazing races. They got this one race where it's like a knockout race, and there's this like 8-kilometer loop, right? And everyone starts the loop, and you have to finish within an hour, right?
Okay.
So if you finish the 8-kilometer loop in, say, 50 minutes, you've got 10 minutes to rest before you go again.
Okay.
And
crazy.
if you don't make that time cut, you're out. If you don't start the next lap, you're out. And you keep going until you can't do it anymore. And now this lady overseas, I forgot her name, but she did 283 kilometers before she stopped.
Man, that's crazy. That's mental.
Like, the sky's the limit with endurance events.
Yeah, I'd love to know, like, when you're doing something like that, like, surely they have, like, some type of nutrition that they have to follow strictly to be able to run for 283 Ks. Like, that's insane.
For sure. Like, I'm pretty sure she has, like, her husband, like, with her, like, helping her out. Not during the, like, on the event running with her, but, like, when she comes in for rest, it's like
waters and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure.
But, like, she's one of the best there is. Like, that's what you do when you're the best.
Yeah, exactly.
And unless you're doing stuff like that, I don't think anyone should be like, oh, I've hit my capacity, I'm done. Like, if there's more out there, go get it. Like, keep going.
You're a big inspiration, man, for a lot of people who... I hope people who are listening to this podcast, if they are, like, I hope people are listening.
It might just be you and me talking.
It's just us two listening. That if people are thinking about going for Ironman, that, just go for it. Just be mentally prepared that it's going to be, physically taxing, but it's going to be worth it in the end.
Oh,
like, to be able to say you did Ironman is absolutely mental. Like, I wanted to go and compete in the Olympics for karate 2020. It was the first time ever karate became an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was pretty decent at karate. I always wanted to go and compete. This is probably my opportunity now. Hope the coffee's still warm. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's warm anymore.
Tastes good.
Oh, that's
nice.
what I like. But I ended up shooting myself in the foot, and that's a whole other story. I guess for another. I'm hoping to get Christina Ma on my next episode.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'll have Shannon my next one, and then hopefully I can get Christina.
Yeah. Cool.
So for those who are listening, Christina Ma is a world champion, the first female world champion.
Oh wow.
In Australia for karate in her division.
That's amazing.
And we train at the same dojo. And when I did my black belt gradings, she was, I think, my third opponent when I had to do the sparring.
Yeah. She whooped your ass, didn't
she? Dude, you could tell she was toying with me. I knew, but she G'd me up as well.
Man.
Like, she was great to spar with because, like, I fought these other two black belts, and they were only first done, and I definitely felt I was better than them. And then my Shihan put Christina in, and I could tell that she was absolutely toying with me. I could tell, and then that kind of G'd me up because I'm like, I want to show how good I am. And then we kind of had a bit of a spar, but I could tell, like, she could just roundhouse me in 3 seconds. I'd be straight on the floor.
Yeah.
So I'd love to have her on and talk to her and ask her, like, what it was like for her to compete.
For sure.
Like, especially in the world champions, like, winning.
Whole different game. Whole different game.
Because I think she tried to go, like, she went to go Olympics, but I'd like to talk to her about that as well. And another guy, sorry, just keep jumping between topics now. There's another guy at my dojo well, I'm not going to say my dojo, I haven't trained there for a while now. Pretty sure his name is Sanari, and he competed in the Olympics in Japan.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I trained with this guy, dude. Like, how insane is that?
So you've already like trained with the best.
I trained with the Australian team.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, but again, I'll save it for like the podcast with Christina because I'm sure we'll touch on the Olympics and how to get there and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish I kind of stuck to it and see what it would have led to if I had actually maintained my training and see if I actually could have made the Olympics. That would have been pretty cool.
For sure, I'd be interviewing you.
Yeah, John makes a podcast just for that.
Just one off.
Yeah. Man, John, I think we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, man. Do you want to like tell people about your socials if people want to get in contact with you or anything like that?
Oh yeah, look, I mean, my work's probably my biggest sort of passion at the moment with trying to help people.
Yep.
Like identify these sort of goals, like just trying to expand it and not saying no to everything before even trying. So if you need help with that, I think I can definitely help out.
So, but is there any the best way to contact you? So just go through Vision.
Yeah, just go through Vision, exactly.
Go through Vision.
Yeah, Vision Bangor, yeah.
Yeah, John, you're an absolute inspiration to everyone. I hope whoever's listening to Ironman really gives it a good crack. And if you need help, definitely hit this guy in Sydney. John, thank you for coming on, man. You're an absolute inspiration.
No worries, thank you.
No, all good, man. Peace!